Hi, welcome to this week's video. I'm going to show you a couple projects that I worked on when I took the week off last week and went up to Connecticut to Liberty. One was really focused around our inverter system and setting up the whole new lithium battery bank. And the other is some of the work that the yard's doing around all my running gear. Didn't take any video, but have a lot of pictures to take and walk you through it. Again, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and again, we'll continue to try to get more content out in the future. Here's a brief update on the work on the digital lower helm. As you guys know, most of these older trawlers were all analog gauges. So I started thinking about how to move everything to digital a year or so ago. One of the first things I picked up was this Alba Combi you'll see in the bottom right there. That is an analog to digital converter. So that'll be the enabler to get most of this stuff into NMEA, all the engine instruments and things. Then the next step was to go through and start measuring everything I needed to do to see how much space I had. I went through several mock-up stages, did some online designs, printed those out, did some screen captures, some layouts as far as what this would look like. And then basically got out the foam core and started to mock stuff up and see if it's something I like. So I put together a prototype, as you see in this picture. I brought it to the boat. I really wasn't super happy with the layout. I thought I could do a little better job. While it looks good, I think I wanted to spread some stuff out and change some things. So this is the layout of the new version 2, that I'm going to go with this summer. Went ahead and got that painted last week, and then went and installed all the instruments into it. Still a lot more work to do. Need to do all the hookups, need to make some sort of a temporary support that I'll use throughout this year. And if this layout is what I want, then I'll go ahead and build a permanent cabinet around it. But this is kind of where I ended up last week with this effort. The battery and electrical system hadn't been touched in Liberty, I don't think, since the day it was made. So this section goes through some of the changes I'm making with regard to the shore power and the batteries and the inverters and everything else. The first thing I had to change was just the shore power. It had some weird generators set up. The generator doesn't work anyway, and it really was dicey. So I went ahead and just cleaned up the shore input and updated the panel electronics, and just a simple picture of that here. The old setup was, I think, again, straight out of the factory. I think if you have a DeFever 43, you've seen this, but you have the old battery system set up. You had this work shelf that was really pretty useless, but this is the area I had to work with to figure out how to get all my new electronics or my new battery set up in there. So you'll see we did a lot of demolition, a lot of measurements to figure out how much room I have to do. I had to deal with some plumbing underneath that had to be sorted out before I went ahead and built it. But I was there about a month ago trying to do a lot of this demo, clearing the space, getting the measurements so I can move to really fabricating what the new layout was going to be. So that was really the next step. I had to deal with some old through holes, and you see right there, I had the shop or the boatyard replace those, so I had nice new through holes behind what I was about to work on. One of the key steps to working on mocking this up was a lot of electronic 3D modeling, which didn't quite work. So I ended up having to basically mock everything up in the basement and get the design sorted out. I have a short video coming up that'll kind of explain what I was doing that I recorded while I was doing the mock-up. So I'll go ahead and stop talking and let that play. So here's an initial mock-up of my new battery area. The tape down here, this tape is kind of the edge of where the bottom will be. So there's a wall that'll come up here, which is kind of the edge of the engine room. So this will be a bottom piece. And you'll see along the side where I have the dotted lines, that'll be sculpted or trimmed to the side of the deck or side of the hull. I'm going to leave it big, and then I'll trace it and get it there good. On the other side, there's a little bit of a jog. The engine is right over here. So there was a space here that wasn't used, and the old batteries had a battery tray that sat about at this level. So what I'm going to do, let me zoom out. I'm probably going to change the dimensions a bit so I can put a third battery to the right if I want. But I'm kind of going with a multi-dimensional setup. I'm able to fit my links on the back. I may keep the bottom open. I still got to figure out where I'm going to put the shutoff power switches, the battery switches. And my Quattro, this back wall won't be this tall because the hull will curve up, but I should have enough that I'll cut the bottom off there. So the cables will actually run from in front over to the back to the Quattro, still giving plenty of space for the Quattro, plenty of space to mount some of my other equipment, the Servo GX and other things. But this is kind of the initial setup. Well, I guess that video got cut off, but I'm going to show you a couple pictures here and then just let it play. But loaded up the truck, brought everything up to Connecticut, started running through the design. There's a picture just to get a sense for how big the boat is out of water. But you'll see here's all the wood that I prepped at home, brought it into the boat, started seeing if my design was going to work, and lo and behold, it wasn't. So I had to do some modifications on the fly, go back, get more wood, and start mocking it up on the back deck. So you'll see here, measured it up, mocked it up, got it all ready to go. Got it, as you saw in the other videos, went with the same design, but basically made it wider. The front panel there, that's where I decided to put my battery switches. So you'll see that, I think, in an upcoming picture. Unfortunately, I did not have enough bilge paint to get as many coats of paint on it as I wanted, but here you see it being fitted in, and hopefully it's starting to make a little more sense now that you're starting to see it complete. That back wall that I talked about, put it in there, figured out how much space I had. Started mounting components, my Victron. That's an old wire when I was just using it for a charger, but started putting all the good wiring in. I got all my AC feeds and outputs and my 4-aught cable. So again, starting to come together. One thing I did realize though is because I had to do the redesign, some of my cables weren't long enough, as you see here. So I couldn't get it to completion, but I got it far enough where I could see how it was going to work. Got some of the components hooked up. Did not bring the batteries on board yet, so that's coming. You'll see the shut-off switches. So this is pretty much where I ended. I'll be back up there in a couple weeks and get it finished up, but that'll give you a sense for what it's going to look like. The last item I'm going to cover in this video is just some of the work that the boatyard was doing on my running gear. If you guys follow me on Facebook, you'll see some of these pictures I've posted already, but I knew I needed rear cutlass bearings, but as they looked at the forward cutlass bearings and started taking things apart, I had a lot of scoring on the shafts, thought we needed new shafts, but luckily the machine shop was able to get those cleaned up and trued up, and the shafts are nice and shiny and looking new. The boatyard did start putting everything back together. So not only do I have new front seals, new seals in the struts, but I'm also going to move from a old packing gland to a dripless packing gland, so that'll be nice when that gets all put together. When I left last week, they had started pressing in the bearings, as you see here, and then working on the starboard side. So things are moving. I think when I get up here, back up there in a week or so, hopefully that'll be all put together. One of the main things the yard still needs to do is pull out my starboard side velvet drive and get that rebuilt. That velvet drive is leaking quite a bit. It works, but it basically, if I go 5 miles, I lose all my transmission fluid, so not really sustainable. So they're going to be working on that as well. And additionally, they're going to be putting on some bottom paint for me. So that's it for this week. Again, thanks for listening, and look forward to talking to you guys more in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe.